while only 65 buses are operating out of Transport Board. And the private sector now has to come in not only to play the routes, but also to be involved in the school bus system. We told you that this is a tricky government. The people of Barbados voted for this. You voted for this. So when you cannot get a bus, when you have to stand up in St. Joseph, in St. Andrew for 4 hours, you have to blame the people of Barbados because we told you. And now they're coming to you again, asking for your vote. After 10 years of nothing you can see, they're asking for your vote. Roads in the worst condition. And what government has responded to passion these roads. I want to say to you that by 2006, we were not only refurbishing roads across Barbados, we were widening the ABC highway between 2003, ladies and gentlemen, and 2008. We were widening the ABC highway. We also did the Bridgetown improvement roads. We did highway 1 to 7. We were spending in any 1 year at Public Works between our team as well as the private sector over $200 million in road refurbishment. Today, this government cannot get $50 million in road repairs. What they do, you're patching roads. In fact, people say you have more patches in the road than roads in the patch. So you have big problem. You have real problem. That is the life under the Democratic Labour Party. What do you see? What do you see? Can you point to one thing that this government has really done? I want to turn to agriculture because I am now shadowing agriculture in Parliament. And I want to say to you that, you know, when we look at agriculture, people think that agriculture is something that we cannot get anything out of. That agriculture is hard work. It is hard work. But we believe that the sugar industry in Barbados is one of the vital industries that we must keep. What has happened over the past 10 years is this, that when we left the sugar industry, and I'm pointing to you to the facts, in 2006, 2007, we were producing 30,000 tons of sugar. And I want you to remember that. And you know that by 2016, this government has reduced agriculture, the sugar industry, to a mere 6,000 tons. Can you imagine this? Within a space of 8 years, this Democratic Labour Party has reduced even the agriculture sector. And that's why I ask you to point to one success. Point to one success under the Democratic Labour Party. They point to tourism. They point to numbers. But they cannot point to receipts. They cannot point to receipts. So that in every area, life has been hard because of the Democratic Labour Party policies. But you know, in the sugar industry, what has happened? When you pass tonight by Andrews Sugar Factory, what did you see? You saw a factory that was started 5 years ago, and it has not got off the ground yet. This is the Democratic Labour Party. Start something before they're ready. We had a program to put a new sugar factory at Buckley. The Dem said no. After many studies, the Dem said we will come to Andrews. And they brought the same program, but they did not carry out a study at Andrews, so therefore it was not ready. So after 5 years, the people in that village have protested, so that they have not got off the ground as yet. You have a problem, and we cannot allow the sugar industry to die. Under the Democratic Labour Party, the sugar industry will die. And we believe in the Barbados Labour Party that we can resuscitate the sugar industry, and we can bring this industry to produce as much as 50,000 tons of sugar. But you know what the problem is? That the government of the day refuse to pay the farmers the money that is deserving of them. For this year's crop, I want you to know that they have not even paid the farmers yet the last payment that is due to them. So therefore, farmers cannot plant the present crop. They cannot reap the present crop. They cannot plant the next crop when it's due. So they have problems within the Ministry of Agriculture. And what is the minister telling you? The minister is not telling you the facts that we were producing and we were doing more in terms of carrot, beets. We were really doing well in agriculture when the Barbados Labour Party formed the government. But what has happened? Under the Democratic Labour Party, they have reduced every considerable things within this country. When you look not only at agriculture and sugar, when you look at the fishing industry, what do you see? You see an industry that has been left to itself. The fish industry is one of the industries that can really not only employ more people, but can really help bring in foreign exchange into this country. We signed an agreement with the European Union way back in the early part of this century. And under the European agreement, we are supposed to improve market condition. The Bridgetown market is in a mess. Oyston market is in a mess. The one at Western is the best of all, but that is not suitable. So we definitely need to upgrade our market facilities in order for us to export fish to the European Union. We have to do much more. And all of these things were done while the Barbados Labour Party was in power. I want you to know that this is nothing new. So the government is not putting anything new on the table. What they are doing is continuing a program that was started by the Barbados Labour Party to resuscitate the fishing industry. All of these things run, and we can go through a number of areas that we believe under a new Barbados Labour Party government, run by Mayor Mortley, will surely bring new jobs to Barbados. Under a new Barbados Labour Party administration, we will not only resuscitate the sugar industry, and I heard the member for St. John speaking here just now. If you look at St. John, for example, you have over 3,000 acres of land idle at Todd's, idle at Wakefield. You have a lot of plantations up there idle. And we believe that it can be resuscitated with a new Barbados Labour Party administration. I am saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, that you have but one choice in this new election. Election is just around the corner. In fact, the Democratic Labour Party will want to hold on as long as they can. But Parliament will come to an end either the 4th or the 5th of next month. And we believe that the present government wants to hold on, to do their own thing, where there is no accountability. I am saying to you, we have to watch them very, very carefully over the next 90 days, because they intend to go past the March deadline. So far, it's the only government in history that has run this country for more than 5 years. The only government that has run this country for more than 5 years. And they intend to hold on as long as they can hold on. Somebody say that they want to draw extra 3 months' salaries. I don't know. Or they want to give their friends extra contracts. We have to watch that very carefully. And all Barbadians must be on their guard. You must be on your guard. I am saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, that the time has come for us to put Barbados first. The time has come for us to put Barbados first. And we intend, under a new Barbados administration, to ensure that we have accountability. I have said many times ago that Barbadians need to have more accountability in their governments. This present government, first of all, they do not go to work. This present administration goes to work at least half an hour in every one day. We pledge that a new Barbados Labour Party under Mayor Mortley will not only be accountable, but we will work every day on your behalf. We will go to work every day on your behalf. Things will not be easy. And we do not promise you the pie and the sky. But we want to promise you honest government. We want to promise you accountability. We want you to have confidence in a new Barbados Labour Party because we always put the people first. I want to say to the people of St. Joseph, I know that you will elect Dale Marshall as your representative. I know that. But I want to say to the people across Barbados, rural Barbados, we will win. I want to say to the people in St. Michael and the urban parish in particular, the Barbados Labour Party will put a program in place especially for the people, the urban corridor, because we believe you deserve it. As we travel through urban Barbados, we see derelict buildings, we see potholes, we see garbage not being collected, we see all types of, in this year and all your Lord. I am saying to the people of Barbados that the Barbados Labour Party stands ready to rescue the people of this country. We stand ready to rescue the people of this country. The road is not going to be easy. The road is not going to be easy. But you have a duty. You have a duty to encourage your friends. You have a duty to encourage your children, your family, to get on board and support the Barbados Labour Party with Mayor Omar Mortley as the leader of this country. I want to say too that you cannot trust the Dems. You cannot trust the Dems. They're going to come to you with all types of money. We know that. We know they're going to come to you as though they have never existed. But I want to say to you that are we gluttons for punishment? Are you gluttons? I mean, we have suffered so much. We have suffered so much in the last 10 years. Do you think the Democratic Labour Party really deserve a chance again? I mean, we have to say no with your vote. You have to come out with your vote. You cannot take chances anymore because we know what is happening. I have spoken in Parliament about this. I have seen a minority persons who want to influence the election. You have to watch a minority group. A minority group, not necessarily business people, you know. You have to watch what is happening in this country. And that's why I have said that we need observers. As we look across in every constituency, the voters list is important. But the voters list have many problems, many discrepancies. All of you must make sure that your names are registered there. And we're going to make sure that it is there because we have found out last election, there are 3 of my people who wanted to vote but could not vote because their names were not on the final list. All of you must make sure your names are on the list, especially in the marginal constituency. As for me, I have won my last election by 1,200 votes. And I intend next election to win it by over 2,000. I want you to know, I intend to increase my majority because this may very well be my last campaign. I have been in this thing for 24 years. I have seen all. And we have won in St. George consecutively all the time. And we intend to win next time. And we will bring along, of course, the South as well. Yes, my dear. We will bring along the South. We will bring along the South as well. We intend to ensure that we check all of our names. That's why all of you must go there and to make sure that your names are really on those lists. Persons above 18 years can vote. And despite how old you are, whether you have a problem, you have a disability or what, you can still vote. The people in the hospitals can vote. The people in the geriatric hospital can vote. In the nurses' home, bring them out. especially in those marginal St. Michael constituency. We want your vote. And we want the people in areas like St. Joseph and St. George to go and help those people in this city area as well. We want you to use your phone, use the internet, because do not take it for granted, because Crapo will smoke your pipe. I want you to understand, if the Democratic Labour Party wins this government again, civil servants will not get an increase again, because they have not gotten it in 10 years. And if, perchance, because we know that what they're trying to do, if perchance this government happens to be, and we don't think, from what I can see, Barbadians have made up their mind already. From what I can see, Barbadians have made up their minds already. This government is just wasting time all the time. They are wasting your time. And we must tell them to get out the road. Get out the road and let me pass. Time has gone. The time has gone for the Democratic Labour Party. Tell them to leave office and let Mayor take over. Good afternoon. Thank you very much.
Colleagues, you listen to an old stalwart. We have some new blood coming in, because you know the passing on process has to happen. When we get older, we share our knowledge and skills with the younger ones and bring them to the fore that they can take over. And so this evening, I'm going to bring you another candidate who will speak with you. But I just want to give one sentence to carry on from where Glenn left off, and to make you alert that we in Barbados are suffering so much for transportation. We are getting the bus once every 4 hours in section of St. Thomas. And I'm sure that St. John people are even getting it worse. And the St. Andrew, the ones from White Hill, are suffering. I want to encourage you on polling day, do not take the risk of going to work. The legislation to going to work before you vote, that's what I mean. I want you to vote before you go to work. I'm not telling you don't go to work. I want you on polling day to make sure you go to the polling stations first, because there ain't no guarantee that if you leave town at 2 o'clock to leave Bridgetown to come to your polling area, that you will get a bus before 7 or 7:30 in the night. The polls close at 6. So automatically your vote will never ever happen. So vote first, because the legislation allows you that period of time to cast your vote and then get to your workplace if you have to. Excuse me. So pay close attention to that, because you don't want to be disenfranchised. I also want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that we have a young woman from urban Barbados who is going to be speaking here this evening. Again, one of the best choices in a candidate. Not one that's going to come and fill up your head with all kind of nonsense and then can't follow through. The Barbados Labour Party has always had policies and programs that we have brought to fruition, starting from none other than the great Right Excellence Grantley Adams, all through the ages in the Barbados Labour Party. Because that's where you got the franchise to go out and vote. Tom came and gave you the Tenantry Vote Purchase Act. Owen came and gave you back your 8% and gave you employment till we were at 6.7% when the government changed in February 2008. And therefore, I'm encouraging you, let us go forward with a Barbados Labour Party. It's the choice of the people at this time. And it's well managed, under the leadership of the great Mayor Amor Motley. You got to give a woman a chance, though. All these red lights, I know we vote in red. And I know that I'm not a speaker tonight, but I'm going to get my chance to bat. Because I'm going to tear some holes in the dams for mismanagement, poor governance, and the disrespect that is meted out to people. People complain about what Kerry said. When my leader was cursed in Parliament, The comments were never withdrawn. When I was cursed, no comments were ever withdrawn, but anybody can curse me because my life is an open book. Open it and anybody can read, and so is Mia's. So once women have to come to the fore, we get beaten about verbally because nobody can touch Mia and expect that I'm not going to deal with them. But we are not violent women. We are just assertive women who have your interests and the interests of Barbados at heart. And so I introduce you to another beautiful young lady, a rootsy girl, coming from urban Barbados. She too has a vision for the people of her constituency in St. Michael South Central. I want to bring you none other than that youthful girl, Marsha Cattle, who will now speak with you. Please welcome her warmly. Give her a rousing round of applause.
Good evening, Barbados Labour Party family. Oh, you all sound so good. You know, a couple days ago, I was in a shop talking to some gentlemen, and a man came in. He walked straight up to us. He didn't say good afternoon or anything. He just came straight to me and he said, I have a kettle home. And I buy this kettle, I long buy this kettle, and it don't work. Even when it's full and the water hot, you don't hear nothing out of this kettle. It don't whistle at all. When it's supposed to be on, it off. When it's supposed to be off, it on. So I called the place that I buy it from. And they put me through to the technical department. And the gentleman said to me, tell me the brand name of this kettle, check the bottom so I can help you fix it. The man said I turn over the kettle. And I had to tell him, man, don't bother, you can't get this fixed. This here mash up for good. It got on Stuart. No. With every apology to anybody in this room that might be called Stuart, I want to say to you, good evening again. I come to you, St. Joseph. I come to you from St. Michael. St. Michael, South Central. I was born in St. Michael. I'm a St. Michael girl. And I have to represent this evening for the team St. Michael and the St. Michael family. I spoke last night at our first POP meeting in Carrington Village in Quakers Road. And I wanted to share a little bit about the theme that we have chosen for the campaign. The theme, as you heard in the song, is care, commitment, courage. And I chose that theme because it speaks to the values with which I was raised, and it speaks to my idea of what political representation should be. But you know, as these things go, with meetings such as this, you don't always get through all the things you want to get through. So I dealt with the care, and I dealt with the commitment. But I didn't deal fully last night with courage. And courage for me is perhaps one of the most important things. Because courage is about fight. And coming from St. Michael, one of the things that matters to St. Michael people, if you are going to come to them and ask for their vote, and ask to be given by them a mandate to represent them, you have to be willing to fight for the people. That is important to us. Courage is about fight. And courage is about fight and doing the honorable thing and doing the right thing rather than what is politically expedient. Courage is about putting people above yourself. And my comrade and colleague, Kurt Humphrey, who is on my border in St. Michael South, he puts it a different way. He says it is about people over politics. And I want to say to you, as I mentioned Kirk and his values, that it warms my heart. It is an important thing, and it is a wonderful thing when you share the same values and the same vision and the same energy and passion for doing the right thing for people as the people, the men and women with whom you stand shoulder to shoulder in a political party. It is a wonderful thing to know that you have the same values and you have the same vision and you are on this road together to fight for the people of your country. Aspic doesn't know what that feels like, nor does Don Villinis, because they sit in Parliament or stand in Parliament and argue against measure after measure and still vote aye. They do not have the same vision. They do not stand together with the rest of the Eager 11 or with the Minister of Finance or with the Prime Minister. They do not have the courage of their convictions. They cannot represent the people that have given them the mandate because they're looking out for themselves. So I want to say a little bit about courage, because along with honesty and integrity and plain old common sense and mathematics, that is what has been missing from this Democratic Labour Party administration. I think it takes courage to admit that of the 7 or 8 plans that you have come up with to try and rescue this economy, it takes courage to admit, actually, I don't know what I am doing. It takes courage to admit that. It takes courage to say, these things have not worked. And to call on the people who know how to get this thing done. Or, alternatively, to step aside and let the people who have proven that they know how to get this thing done, get it done. This is not about you, this is about the people of Barbados. And you have now come with an 8th Barbados Sustainable Recovery Plan. And the Democratic Labour Party, if they're good at anything, and probably only one thing, it is at naming and renaming things. They name and rename things and call that governance. That is not governance. That is cosmetics. And so they have come with a new plan. And I have gone through it with a fine-tooth comb. And I cannot find anything that makes sense to me. That plan is a wish list. It is a set of words that they think sounds good, and a set of words that they think mask the reality of what is happening in this country. And I'll tell you what is happening in this country. And as I said at Quakers Road last night, I am happy and privileged and unafraid to tell the truth on behalf and to the people of Barbados, because we have a government that would not know truth if it came up and kicked them in the shins. We have to tell the truth. That is our mandate. While we are the opposition, Michael South Central, to stand up for the young men and the young women of that constituency. To stand up and say, I know that y'all are trying to give yet another contract to a certain man. But I have young men and women right here in Britons Hill, where this Valerie high-rise is going up, that have not worked for months and years. I have tilers and masons and joiners and carpenters who cannot get work. It would have taken courage to say, he cannot get all. We have to create opportunity for young people. We have to create opportunity for working class people, for the people of St. Michael. And I want to make sure that these young people get a chance. It would have taken courage to do that, but no, that would have been too much to ask. So instead, what happened is that yet another large contract went to put up a poorly put together building in Britain's Hill that was supposed to provide low-income housing for people, but because of certain gaps in the financing, because it ended up costing so much, because economic management is another thing that this government does not know how to do, people find it difficult to pay the rent. That is not low-income housing. That is against a backdrop of public sector workers not having received a pay increase for almost 10 years. It is against a backdrop of an NSRL, one of the worst taxes, one of the worst conceived taxes in my 18 years as an economist that I have ever seen. It has caused a massive recession in this country. It has been almost the death of small business men and women in this country. And the Minister of Finance is bragging that it brought him $50 million over 6 months. His Prime Minister is saying that he doesn't know how much it's brought him because he told him that they don't talk. I don't see why you are bragging about a $50 million stopgap in such a large deficit, with such a large debt. It takes courage to be able to say, listen, the pensioners in my constituency cannot afford to go in the supermarket with the little pension that they're getting. This NSRL is not working for the people of Barbados. It has to go. It would have taken courage for the Prime Minister of Barbados to stick to his word that he gave to the people of this country when he said he would not remove free tertiary education. You cannot believe anything that this man says. I know he would have you believe that while he was able to benefit from not 1 but 2 degrees from the University of the West Indies free, your children must pay. It would have taken courage to be able to say, no, 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 no. I told the people that I am not moving it. We have to find the money to do it. That would have taken courage, but they don't have any. It would take courage, ladies and gentlemen, to be able to admit that the sale of the BNTCL is not about addressing the foreign reserves problem. That's not what it's about. Because if that were what it was about, they would have taken the offer made by Rubis of the $50 million that they were offering to go half to make up the $100 million. If you are so desperate, if the country is floundering so much, you need money, you need money, you need money. And the Fair Trading Commission told you, no, 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 we're not letting you create a monopoly with Sol. You got to share. Well, take half from Rubis and take half from Sol, but it is not about the foreign reserves. Don't be fooled. This government is in the business of creating monopolies to consolidate wealth in the hands of a privileged few in this country. And it is time for it to stop. Instead, what this government is doing, instead of displaying the courage that is needed to guide this country through these difficult times, instead what they're doing is what I call patchwork governance. Bringing last-minute legislation that makes no good sense at all. Minister of Education wants to now bring charges against parents of children who have issues or who have contravened the law in some way. He wants to bring charges against the parents. Now, I admit that a lot of what has to be done to bring this country back and to transform it, it is about the values that we have. It is about values. It is about supporting parents as they try to raise responsible Barbadian citizens. But this government only has one idea collectively among all the brains that they have there, one single idea. And it always comes down to a big stick policy. The same Minister of Education talked about cracking heads and shooting people. And they want to persecute young people when they do just that. You get in the public domain and say that that is okay to do. That it is okay to bring violence against the people that you are mandated to serve. And then you are alarmed when people do the same thing. Those same people that you were meant to do it to. They're doing patchwork governance right now. They're patching the roads. But just like all of the other measures that they're bringing, by the time they patch the road and the truck move from there, you drive over it and it falls to pieces again. And that is exactly the description and the story of the Democratic Labour Party government. For this country to grow, it takes courage. I have never, to be honest with you, seen an economy, and I am talking about all across this region, that has relied so heavily on taxation to pay its bills. It is not a good formula. It does not work. You cannot tax an economy out of a recession. At some point, people have no more money to spend because they're paying all of it in taxes. And guess what? When they get sick, they have no money to pay for medication. They have to stay home from work. And you have to end up paying more money anyway than what you previously anticipated. And then you want to tell me that the Prime Minister of this country is supposed to be a productivity champion, when this is the least productive government this country has seen since its independence in 1966. It takes courage and vision and leadership to understand that if Barbados is to go where we always thought that it would go, the country has to grow. You can't just get money from taxing people and taxing companies. But I want to talk to you tonight about what courage looks like. I want to talk to you tonight about a woman who embodies courage. I want to talk to you about the leadership and the vision of Mia Amor Motley. And I will be honest with you, it is not to say that we have a savior. I don't believe in deifying people. But I believe that Mia Amor Motley and everything in her life has brought her to us and to Barbados for such a time as this, when she will lead, together with us and the rest of you, to deliver this country from the pits to which it has fallen. I want to talk to you about a woman who has had the courage to say, we do not need the NSRL in order to pay our bills in this country. It is a bad tax, and we are going to remove it so that people can live again. I want to talk to you about a woman who has had the courage to say, we can afford to educate our young people in this country. We have done it before, and that is the peril of this Democratic Labour Party government. That is the peril. That is the most dangerous and nefarious part of what they have been able to do. It is that they have attempted to convince the people of Barbados that this is the best that can be done. They make reference to an economic recession that every other country, including the countries hit by hurricanes not too long ago, have recovered from. Because it seems that there is a rain cloud that is only over Barbados. And they would have you believe that nobody else could do better. Well, I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that Mia Amor Motley has done better, can do better, and will do better than this sorry bunch that we are calling politicians and government in this country. I want to talk to you about a woman who has the courage to understand that a lot of what we need to take Barbados forward is about the Barbadian confidence. It is about understanding that we are raising a people. We are raising a country. The business of independence did not stop in 1966. In fact, it didn't begin in 1966 with our Barrow. I don't know my way to tell you. The process of independence was started by the founding fathers of this Barbados Labour Party, because there could have been no independence without Grantley Adams. There could have been no independence without freedom, and that is what Grantley Adams brought to this Barbados. And she has realized that there is something that Barbadians must feel again. They must feel the confidence that we can be anything and that we can go anywhere. That we have to teach our children to swim. We are an island. And if we want to nurture entrepreneurial spirit, we want our young people to take risks. We are not just raising people to go and get a job for somebody. We are not just raising people to go and do the people work, as they say. We are raising people who can be global citizens grounded in their Barbadian roots and heritage. We have to teach our children to swim. We have to teach them a foreign language. We have to give them the confidence to go forward and take on the world. Barbados' biggest resource is its people. It has always been that way. And we have always sent out proud ambassadors of this small country. And people have been able to say, well, this little country is punching above its weight. We all got going on over there. They haven't heard about the hurricane that hit us 10 years ago and has not gone away. We were not supposed to be here today in 2018, ladies and gentlemen. But we are going to end up where we were meant to be under Mia Moore-Motley as the next Prime Minister of Barbados. I want to say a word quickly about the man who will remain Member of Parliament for St. Joseph after the next general election. You know, Dale Marshall makes me laugh in a good way. I have not seen anyone who can so incisively and aptly dismiss the idiocy of the Democratic Labour Party. He does it very well. He does it very ably. You know, we have had in this country an Attorney General that, you know, we've always seen our Attorney Generals as people who can speak with authority to issues, who understand issues of law and order and in their multifaceted way. Dale Marshall stands head and shoulders above anybody who has presumed to speak to law and order issues over the last 10 years. But not only that, he also represents what representation is supposed to look like. He was here when there was the collapse of the road in St. Joseph. And the man who was supposed to be here was trying Kadir to help out his friend down by me by patching the roads down there, when he should have been here. The Barbados Labour Party understands what representation is. And I am proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with men and women who understand care, who understand commitment, who understand courage. But it's not just us, and we can't do this alone. And I know, ladies and gentlemen, that you all also have the courage that it is going to take to bring this Barbados Labour Party to government in the next general election. And I will repeat what Glenn Clark has said. Get yourselves together. This is the most important election this country will have seen since independence. Get yourselves together. Get your neighbors together. Make sure people are on the list. The only way the Democratic Labour Party is going to win the next election is if they do it in ways that are not above board, and it is not beyond them. So we are going to get ourselves together, because we are going to make sure that our next Prime Minister is that woman of vision and leadership and courage that is going to take this country to that place of transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless you. Good evening.
I told you so, and you have proven it. We are looking at the interest of time, because we have a limited time in which to exit. And therefore, I'm going to take out all of my mouthings and introduce you now to another young person. None other than Dwight Sutherland, St. George South. He will now come and speak to you about all the challenges. Please welcome him.
Good evening, Barbados Labour Party family. Good evening, my St. Joseph family, the Adamson family. I see Sherry up front. I see Marlon on the outside. I see Althea on the inside. Rudolph Clark, Joseph Riley, all of my people, I love you. Good evening. I heard I only got 15 minutes and I vexed. Because I can't come to St. Joseph and speak for 15 minutes. But nonetheless, I have to be obedient to my leader, who is doing a wonderful and tremendous job with us. I want to ask you a simple question. Did you listen to Parliament this week, the debates? You recognize the wonderful job that the Barbados Labour Party did? You recognize the leadership that was displayed. Mia Amor Mortley spoke for 20 minutes and then she gave way to her team. You call that leadership to the highest order. But having said that, people, I went whereby the estimate was an exercise in futility. It was an exercise in political skullduggery. And the reason why I say that, because I am in St. Joseph and this is rural Barbados. And when we searched the estimates, we saw nothing whatsoever to benefit the agricultural sector or the farmers in St. Joseph. Isn't that an exercise in futility? But we have a man in St. Joseph by the name of Professor, that's his name, who walking around giving out seedlings to people. When we have an abundance of land in St. Joseph that people can work, that this government has failed to put any plan in place so that the farmers can benefit. And we have the Scotland District, 1/5 of the land mass of this country. And most of the Scotland District is owned by private farmers. And those private farmers have said to the government, I will give you the land, well, not for free. We can form a partnership whereby you can utilize my land to grow mahogany trees. So when you grow mahogany trees in the Scotland District, that helps the local industry. That help the manufacturers, those persons who are down by BIDC, those guys who are manufacturing, but yet this government has done nothing about it. So we consider the estimates an exercise in futility and political skullduggery because they bought the estimates for the first time in February. And Parliament will be dissolved on the 5th or 6th of March, Dale. I ain't got the right date, either the 5th or the 6th. But this give the government all the leverage to go and do as they please. But I say to them, the Lord ain't sleeping. You can do what you want to do for a time, but you can't do it all the time. The day of reckoning is coming. So when I come to St. Joseph, I have to speak about agriculture. And I want you to know that this government has done nothing for the farmers in rural Barbados, because they probably see rural Barbados as belonging to the Barbados Labour Party. And I want you, rural Barbados, to continue supporting the Barbados Labour Party. But they went a bit further, and they introduced something called a Barbados Sustainable Recovery Plan 2018. My mom and dad up front, stand and let the people see you, man. 80s and 70s, I love them. My parents, man, I didn't see them there. And the rest from St. George South, I love you all too, but you know the parents are special. This plan, Barbados Sustainable Recovery Plan, and I said to Chris Sinclair, you had 5 or 6 plans. I think Dale said 5. I said 6, Dale. I got on one, no problem. And you did nothing for the people of Barbados. Now you come at the last minute on the eve of an election. And because you want to tell me that the social partners and the social partnership was part of this plan, you think it's going to give the people of this country hope. Has it given you any hope? Has it given you any hope? Has it given you any hope? Thank you. So I think Chris Stinkler should take this plan, put some ketchup and pepper on it with some cheese and eat it. This plan is making mock sport at the electorate. And I'm going to speak to them. I want more than 15 minutes, man, Cynthia, begging you. I have a lot to talk in St. Joseph tonight. Give me 20, give me 5 more, please. Glenn Clark took my time. I love him, though. A good politician. But when you look at this plan, a statement by the Barbados Private Sector Association, you know, the social partnership agreed to this plan. I have no difficulty with the plan. I can tell you where my difficulty lies. And you're going to agree with me. It said, and I think Ronald Toppin, the member for St. Michael North, spoke to this. I see some of his people there watching me, Mr. Kelman. Ronald referenced this document in his speech, the statement by the Barbados Private Sector Association. And one aspect said, while we acknowledge, this is what the Private Sector Association is saying to the government, while we acknowledge the broad consensus on the objectives set out in this document, we recognize that implementation plans, which are critical to the success of the objectives, are still to be developed. They recognize that the implementation plans that are critical to the success of this recovery plan are still to be developed. Now, after you have carved out your vision for this country, and you have carved out your strategy for this country, and you have plotted your outcomes, how are we going to put money back in your pocket? How are we going to begin to export? How are we going to reduce? How are we going to improve our foreign reserves? You know what? What is missing after you have carved out that? Because all of us carved out these plans, both BD and NDP. Don't let me say much about the NDP. Because the NDP is the Democratic Labour arm of the DLP. And what they're going to do, I am speaking to them just to put them aside. They have no philosophical grounding by which they form a political party. Their aim is to stop the Barbados Labour Party on its mission of recovering and retaining the seat and bringing Barbados back to some respectability. But they cannot stop us. But having carved out your vision and your strategy, so forget the UPP and them other parties. Having carved out your vision and your strategy and plotted your outcomes, you know what is missing? And the private sector mentioned it, implementation. I call it leading in execution. I call it leading in execution because don't matter what Chris Sinclair has done And he insulted us, and I want 5 good minutes to deal with him at the end, you know. He insulted us at the end in his wrap-up in the debate. Because I like to differentiate and let the Barbados Labour Party know what distinguishes the Barbados Labour Party from the Democratic Labour Party. And we have to continue to preach what distinguishes us. But when you have forgotten the whole leading by execution, how will you implement or achieve your outcomes? Don't care how much manifesto you produce. Don't care how much strategy, Mr. Bowen, you produce. Don't care how much outcomes you plot and you don't implement. And I call it leading in execution. You have failed the country. And that is what the Democratic Labour Party has failed in. They have failed in the execution of their manifesto pledges to the people of this country. And when you examine every aspect of leadership, the Democratic Labour Party, they behave as if every day is election. They behave so with all these empty exhortation and these fancy speeches, as opposed to getting down to the business of the day, which is running the ministries. They continue with these empty mouthing. Believe there's a these ministers have failed this country. They have failed you. They have come to govern without any managerial experience. Not one of them. And that is how we distinguish ourselves as a political party. And hats off to Mia Amor-Motley. Give her a clap for that. That is how we distinguish ourselves from the Democratic Labour Party. And I can tell you why. You heard tonight Colin Jordan, a man with immense managerial experience in accounting, economics, and in the tourism sector. He came to the fore. You heard tonight from Charles Griffith, a man from St. John who managed Project Oasis and did it successfully with managerial experience. You heard tonight from a development economist, Marsha Kettle, a lady of immense talent that I love. That is talent. She represented CDB across the world. They sent her to manage projects. You heard tonight from Glenn Clark, a teacher with tremendous experience in government. And you heard tonight from the lady, in my opinion, who delivered the best speech in Parliament last week, Miss Cynthia Ford. You heard from that lady with immense experience in education and in governance. What is different to the Democratic Labour Party? And you hear from me. And I don't like to talk about myself. I have a track record in the private sector, in management. Tremendous track record. Michael Lashley ever led anything yet? All Michael Lashley interested in is buying vehicles, SUVs, and he didn't realize that SUVs depreciate. That makes sense to you? He got about 15 SUVs. This is a man who runs a very important ministry without any managerial experience. And I come to you this way because I want you to know that the Democratic Labour Party, they have not led in execution in this country because they have no experience to lead in execution. And I'm looking for you like, it didn't start yet. So we have to understand that we as a political party, we are blessed. And I want you to clap for that. We are blessed. We had 14 successful years of running this country. We had 14 successful years of running this country. And more than 1/3 of this present team were part of that government. And they will form the next government under Mia Amor-Motley. So when I hear Chris Sickler come to embarrass us or try to embarrass us, Neil Rowe is in the house. I want Neil on this platform. Where Neil Rowe is? Neil Rowe. Where's Neil? I want you to understand that Chris Sinclair is a big bluffer. Chris Sinclair runs the Ministry of Finance without any experience in the area of finance. This is our brother. Come, man. Come. I am a new MP, relatively new, but Mayor keeps saying I'm experienced, and I thank her for that. I probably displaying it. Thank you, Mommy and Daddy, for giving me the exposure from early. Neil Rowe, the first time I ran in St. George South, and I have never called my opponent name. Let's go to Parliament and call my opponent's name. Christopher Sinclair, or Chris, what's his name? Bad Boy? You call it Bad Boy? Let's stay as Bad Boy. Christopher Sinclair, in his wrap-up speech in the estimates, called Neil Rowe's name. You heard the story about David and Goliath? This young man will teach Chris Sinclair some humility. This young man has Chris Sinclair putting a half-page ad in the newspaper to clean up his constituency, St. Michael Northwest. I have never put an ad, neither Dale Marshall, and we discuss it, an ad in any paper against our opponent to show that we are cleaning up our constituency. He is under extreme pressure, and I want you to give this man a hand. This young man has Chris Sinclair under pressure. He called his name in Parliament. Neil started the journey of identifying some challenges with an elderly lady. That is why talking about the social services. We have people like Trevor Prescott. Neil has just joined the fore. Arthur Holder, who are competent in the area of managing the social services and dealing with the elderly people in this country. And Neil went to the rescue of an old lady in St. Michael Northwest. And after Neil did that, Chris Sinclair decided he gonna clean up St. Michael Northwest. Well, tell he that Dale Marshall, George Payne, Dwight Sutherland, Mia Morley, Cynthia Ford, all of we down in St. Michael Northwest weekly. We can deal with him. I thank you, Neil. Keep the good work up. That's the man. Don't think that we have a Pupa team and a Paku team, as the boys will tell you. This is a Paku BLP. This is a team that can rescue you. This is a serious team, a dynamic team. Let me tell you about the team. Let me tell you about the team. This team has a doctor in it. This team has an engineer in it. This team has entrepreneurs in it. Sandra husband in Darwin. I call the social services man. And John is social service. John is social service. Help me call them. Help me call them. Help me call them. Stand up, man. Stand up, man. God of mercy. My horse. Come to the stage, man. Come to the stage. Come to the stage, Kirk. This is my horse. I ride in this horse. I ride in this horse. This man, this young man, like Marsha, we have potential leaders in the Barbados Labour Party. This man will unseat Frondel's throat. He will keep Frondel's throat at home, just like Neil will keep Chris at home. And we will continue to support him. Thank you, my friend. I ain't worried. I get met with a proud in St. George South, man. I ain't worried. My aim is to make sure we won 14 seats in the last election, and I cry. I ain't crying no more, because when I see the talent mayor unfolded to me, I said, we are blessed. We are blessed. How much more time I got? How much more time I got, Sainty man? 10 minutes. Give me 10 minutes. I am happy for the 10 minutes. I want to deal with two issues, because Chris Sinclair got me angry. I want to challenge him, because he has no managerial competence, and he is running a ministry. He's presiding over the decay of this country. That's what he's doing. But I want to deal with two issues that are dear to me. One relates to transport and work, and the next one relates to education. I will leave the education for last because it touched on my good friend who has helped me, and I will speak to him last, Dale Marshall. But when you compare me to Michael Lashley, it upset me. It got me angry. I vexed. Michael Lashley never managed nothing before. But did you read today's Sunday Sun? On a serious note, did you read it? Did you see that the Ministry of Transport and Works, they are using the coaches to carry the children to school? Only yesterday, I spoke to an elderly lady. Thanks to Costello's husband. Is she here? Costello is here. I like to recognize my team members when they call me to address issues. Costello is one of my box captains on the southern side of St. George, Cox Road and St. David's, and that side coming up by Edie Village. An elderly lady told me yesterday, she said, Mr. Sutherland, sorry, she called me Dwight. Just call me Dwight. She said, Dwight, I was told that I will have to pay a bus fare simply because no more transport board buses will be running to Edie Village or Cox Road. This is what the lady told me. I said to her, Mums, I don't know, but I ain't doubt it. I will research the issue for you and I will get back to you shortly. And today, we saw in the paper the whole mention of the coaches and also the duty-free concessions to the PSV vehicles, right? And he also said that the PSV vehicles are owners supposed to get back to him too on a plan. These are the same people in the last election put a lady on the bus. These are the same Democratic Labour Party. Politics by political skullduggery and deceit. These are the same people who put a lady on the bus and said to you, the people of this country, don't vote for the Barbados Labour Party, because when they get in, they will privatize transport board and the pensioners will have to pay a bus fare. That is what was said by the old lady, Miss Mack. I know her good. Her children went to school with me. I feel for Miss Mack. I feel for her. Even her children feel for her. But nonetheless, let me leave her. Everybody can support me, but we can win. We are winners. I want Michael Lashley, don't see Michael Lashley, to tell the people of this country what the Democratic Labour Party is doing with Transport Board. I want Michael Lashley to tell you, they are quietly politics by deceit. They have played with the Barbadian populace. They have played with you. They have no moral authority to come back to you to ask you for the vote from that Stewart. Because that is one of the things he said that we would do and that he wouldn't do. Privatize the transport board. He set up in St. George in a joint canvass in January 2012. He said that they will not allow students to pay tuition fees. And thirdly, he said they won't send home the public servants. Isn't that politics by deceit, political skullduggery? And you going to vote for he? You going to vote for he? What won't do it to Frondell Stewart? We have to deal with Frondell Stewart. Frondell Stewart has quietly presided over the decay of Barbados. Frondell Stewart has quietly caused sufferation among the people of this country. Frondell Stewart has quietly destroyed the middle class of this country. And Frondell Stewart has made the poor people poorer in this country. And he sits down in Parliament as if he's some paragon of piety, and he's speaking Latin as if Latin can lead the execution of Barbados and can revive Barbados. Latin cannot revive Barbados. Leading in the execution can revive Barbados and put Barbados back to respectability. And that is what Mayor Amor Motley has done. She has gone into the trenches. And when I say leading in the execution, I don't mean micromanaging or disempowering people or being hands-on, but she has gone into the trenches and she has found out what is critical to the poor people of this country. She has dealt with the business sector to find out what will bring some respectability, what will bring people back into employment. She has dealt with the middle class people to find out what are the critical issues that will return their level of middle class to some respectability. She has also dealt with the investors who are critical, who are hiding from the Democratic Labour Party because they say they ain't putting the money in a place that they ain't getting the returns or they ain't sure about, so they ain't putting the money in it. And that is what Mayor Motley has skillfully done. I want you to give her a round of applause, man. I am empowered because of my leader as well. She has given me the opportunity to work with her and go around in areas to bring my skill and my competence in engineering and my managerial competence, just like she has done with Kirk, Neil, and all the others. And that is the leader for the times. And I want you to support Mayor Amor Motley. Now, I can't come to St. Joseph and don't speak about my good friend who has been responsible partly for my success. This is a man who toured St. George day and night. This is a man, when the pundit said I was losing, and I called him at 2 o'clock one morning, he said, I want to hear you play 20 years, you winning, so call me. This is a man whose shoulders I relied on. And why I called St. Joseph people tonight, the Joseph Riley and those guys, they came to St. George to help me canvass. They taught me a lot about canvassing. And I want to recognize the people from St. Joseph. I love one of them for helping out the people in St. George. I was inexperienced. And thanks to people like Dale Marshall and George Payne, I now feel that I found my way and I can contribute to the development of this country. But I want to deal with an issue though. This is the final issue, the light on. I gotta finish now. I am an obedient MP. You know who is the chairman of Brackley Adams? Professor, the DLP candidate that they're going to lick up again. You know he get $1,200 a month for being the chairman of this board. That's not all though, you know. You know the professor has employed as a consultant in the Ministry of Education. You all know what he does, what his title is? A coming out Sainty. The function of the consultant to conduct appropriate surveys and to ascertain the degree and the extent and the reasons for deviance among students. This man is being paid $89,000 a year as a consultant in the Ministry of Education to come up with a paper on deviance in schools. And he's the chairman of this school where we are seeing most of the challenges. I come in, Sainty, I come in. This is one night I can come here. But he also has the responsibility to develop and implement a statistical format to capture all relevant information on deviant behavior, inclusive of bullying, fighting, suspension, and expulsion, etc. You can imagine this man was employed since 2013, and he's working as a consultant in the Ministry of Education. And he's responsible for implementing a strategy on deviant behavior in school. But yet, he's the chairman of this school. And what is happening with this school? The Democratic Labour Party is feathering their own nest for the past 10 years. But I want to wrap up by telling you, the St. Joseph people and the people of Barbados, you can't vote for Professor, and I know you ain't going to vote for him. You have to give Dare Marshall, tried, tested, and proven, one of the best talents in the Barbados Labour Party. When we were going through our issues with crime, he was Attorney General and he rescued Barbados. An attorney at law, international business minister, and also former Attorney General. He is a member of the team, a very senior member. I want to thank you tonight for listening to me. I want you to have the courage to vote the Democratic Labour Party out. And I leave you with the prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Courage to change the things I can. And you have the wisdom and you know the difference. I love you.
Comrades, they did not want me to treat that little boy at all. They refused to let me get a chance to speak tonight. And they put me to chair. Put me in a stranglehold. But hold on. Dwight only has that little bit on his phone. I have a dossier on every last one of them. The skullduggery in this country. I have never seen it or heard it like this before. But you know, mine doesn't fall off at any drop. Mine comes straight from the source. He forgot to add on just now that the consultancy includes investigating and coming up with a strategy for children at risk. But that is another conversation. I just want to remind you, comrades, and not only you, but all other Barbadians who are listening and viewing what we are doing here this evening at the Grantley Adams School, to be reminded of three things. One, I have worked 48 years of my life in the government. January the 20th, 1970 as a teacher, and then in 1994 until now doing this work. Well, you know what kills me? A minister of education who said that the children have demons, who said that people want their heads cracked and doing all kind of nonsense, has undertaken a responsibility never ever yet seen in the history of Barbados. Where people were invited, and to people now I mean teachers, were invited to the Ministry of Education late last year. They left the school early to go to the Ministry of Education or to Urdeston to receive appointment letters. Well, if I have never ever seen a country drop months, especially at this stage, those who function in a position for 3 consecutive years and they are not replaced or displaced, they're still there. And now this government is using appointments, like how you hold the carrot in front of the donkey, to say, eat it and you will get the desires of your heart. These ridiculous people in this government cannot use appointments to entice people to vote for them. But who will want to vote for the them still though? Not even the Right Excellent or the Right Honorable Erskine Sandiford, Sir Lloyd Erskine Sandiford, don't want to see them. He asked them, how did we get here? You know, to this day, nobody has answered him. Absolutely nobody. So watch that appointment business. You are entitled, whether they are the government, or we are the government, or somebody else. Because Maria got plans to be the government. They cannot hold you in any stranglehold. And it is against all thinking, all right thinking people to be able to see people being pushed up and bowing in front of a prime minister or bowing in front of a minister to get a letter of appointment that the civil service ministry and public administration and those are responsible for coordinating and sending it to you in the mail. I can still find mine when I got appointed. Mine came in the mail. You don't want that to make them feel, I felt sorry for you, so I appointed you. You deserve what you have worked for. That's one. The second one is the income tax. Beijing said, want mine. You know, the finance minister about 3 years ago said, I am the minister of finance. I ain't got no training in economics, but I learn on the job. You know, he learned the worst way, though. Because this economy now is the worst I have ever seen in the history of Barbados. And he had 3 budgets ago when he said, as I speak to you, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know the checks are being written. I wonder where the checks are, though. Why I get my yet? Did you get yours? Do you want yours, though? I want it before the election call. Let him put his money where his mouth is. If he can give out 1,000 closed baskets of foodstuffs, flat screen TVs, tablets, and I have no problem with poor people getting things, you know, then he can help me get my income tax returns. I want it like yesterday, because I am in the same stranglehold that you are in, helping to raise my grandchildren, helping to raise people in the village, and I need my income tax. I paid it, I want it. So tell him he's under some pressure all this week. Don't come at any meeting last weekend and say, oh, we understand, and we will make sure that Barbadians get their income tax returns. They belong to you, you must get them. The other one is the VAT, the VAT returns. A lot of people are not getting theirs either. But this is a minister who has given Sandals 40 years of concessions, totaling millions of dollars, and cost you less, 25 years. And a good few of the people that were working in that little restaurant there have been sent home. Cost you less is now cost you more. And Barbadians are paying through their noses under an administration that used to accuse the Barbados Labour Party of white shadows. But I would rather live under a Labour Party with white shadows, if that were the case, than I would. I can't see that, but thank you. Tell me. I hear you. Thank you, darling. God bless you. I want to bring another colleague to you. But before I get there, I just want, as I close my statement, to say, people were getting pension checks like this before. 2, folded, and it's perforated so you can tear. This is what I saw last week. I signed them for old people. I don't want the people's names showing up. It says here at the top page that should have been folded and perforated, a second check. They're now getting one. And it says, this page left intentionally blank. So poor people, all of the checks I signed last week for senior citizens who cannot get out or who cannot see, all of them came like this. What used to be blue is now red. What is that telling you? The Dems had it blue, and now they turn it red. Red stands for the Labour Party. We have to take over and give pensioners a better life in this Barbados. I didn't get the chance to speak, but I'm going to give over to one of the younger colleagues I have. A charismatic person. A person with a wealth of ability. A person who is compassionate and only speaks when that person has to speak. I want to introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, you say no? You know, when you're getting old people want me to think you're foolish. I don't mind. They give me one man, they're going to give me another one now. That is fine. All in the name of the Barbados Labour Party. Talk till you come. You can give me that young man? He used to be young. His father, Rupert, was my man. From St. Lucie, Rupert Phillips. And we are bringing the young men and the young women, the older men and the older women, and the oldest woman here to you. because we feel that there has to be a marriage of youthfulness, of people who are mature and those who are a little older, so that at the end of the day, when the team gels together, you get the representation that is second to none in our country. And so I'm going to introduce to you, although it is haphazard, a young man from St. Lucie who will lick out 20% is more than 80. Peter Phillips, please welcome him.
Good evening, Barbados Labour Party family. Good evening to my wonderful constituents of St. Lucie who are here and who are watching even at home. Now, I came to St. Joseph tonight just to socialize and to be with you and to share. I didn't leave home expecting to speak. But when you are on the team, you have sometimes to come in and give a 20-20 and play a 20-20 innings. I spent the time last night speaking for Sandra Husbands and Kerry Simmons in the St. James South and St. James Central constituencies. And I felt energized last night. And I'm even more energized tonight because when I've listened to the speakers who've gone on before me, I know that we are a great team. I know that Barbados is dependent on us. And I know that we shall deliver when that time comes. Like Dwight, I was incensed when I listened to the Dempsey Minister of Finance, the man that can't count, trying to poo-poo the Barbados Labour Party team in Parliament here the other day, Friday, Thursday, a couple of days ago. I was incensed because you gave the people of Barbados in their wisdom, or with their choice, gave the Democratic Labour Party the opportunity to govern this country. They messed up in the first 5 years. And the people came back and said, look, we're going to give you another chance. And far from doing any better, they did far even worse. And a man that brought almost 5 or 6 different plans to you, come and telling us that the Labour Party ain't got a plan. That's why we can't even come with a plan. Poo-pooing our leader says she spoke for 25 minutes. When we know about leadership. And we understand how our leader functions. And he has brought plans. Touch him. I understand and I have it on good authority. He went into a meeting with the Prime Minister and a certain sector. And when the Prime Minister said, so-and-so we can do, so-and-so, he said, no, that can't happen about here. You imagine a minister telling the Prime Minister so? The man that appoints him? Huh? You imagine that? So you come to poo-poo the Barbados Labour Party team. I know of a Barbados Labour Party administration between 1994 and 2008 that came with different plans in our manifesto and we gave to the people of Barbados. And when the time was right before an election, we were able to present a document, promises and performance, and say to the people of Barbados, we promise you this. This is what we have done. I know of a Democratic Labour Party that came at the last 2013 election after promising the people of Barbados free mortgages and all these kind of things, duty-free cars and all of that. You know what their last campaign was about in 2013? And I'm going this point because I want you to understand where we're going and what we can expect now. All they did was talk about the Barbados Labour Party. They never came with a plan in 2013, you know. They never reported to you what they had done between 2008 and 2013. And their plan again is to come and curse the Barbados Labour Party team, to curse the Barbados Labour Party leader in the worst way in the upcoming general election. But we say to them, touch one, touch all. Touch one, touch all. So he's poo-pooing the Barbados Labour Party team and telling us we don't have a plan. And he came with plans. You know what his plans did? You came with a plan. You came with plans, sir. And the plan resulted in 20 downgrades. 20 downgrades. Not one, nor two, nor three, nor four. 20 downgrades. So the Minister of Finance, the man that can't tell nobody about the plan. And then he compared people. He began to compare people. Talk about Jones. He talked about Michael Ashley. And all these things, comparing them to what kind of persons they have in the cabinet and who the Barbados Labour Party going to put this place and put that place. Don't worry about the Barbados Labour Party cabinet. Don't worry about that. We have the finest, some of the finest, and some of the best. Talk about what you have done, how you have wrecked the Barbados economy, how you have wrecked the lives of the Barbadian people, how you've destroyed the dreams of our youth in this country. Talk about that. Bought tax upon tax upon tax on us. Bought the NSRL. Talk about when you came to the people and you said that the NSRL bought in 50 million. And when the press asked the Prime Minister, who's doing? He said, well, I don't know about that. Never seen the figures before me. The NSRL, enough sewage. Let me get it right. I don't curse. Enough sewage and whale lakes. That's we brought the people. The sewage flowing from Christchurch South all down in St. Lucie. That's we brought. Enough sewage and whale lakes. Lakes upon the backs of the people of Barbados. And you telling somebody about a plan? We bring plans and we know to implement. But you can give you a plan. You give a plan to a fool, he can't implement it. And that's what's happening there right now. Because plan after plan, I don't care who gave it. I don't care who you met with. They gave it to a man that can't even weed figures good. So how you going to implement a plan? It ain't about the plan, it's about implementation. That is what it's about. But this great party of which I'm proud to be a candidate, and I'm proud to be a member tonight, and I'm sure you are as well. We have plans for Barbados, plans for all young people, plans for our seniors, plans for our differently challenged persons. This Barbados Labour Party team, of which I'm proud to be a member, will do you proud tonight. Once we are given the chance to the government, and I am confident. I am confident. Wonder why he didn't talk about the man, the clown of Parliament, the one from St. Lucie. No, he don't represent St. Lucie. Let me get that clear. He's the member of Parliament. That's all he is. The member of Parliament. He don't represent St. Lucie. The real representative is here. And the real representative is here. And I will be giving a talk about appointments. The people of St. Lucie tell me your appointment is coming. Appointment coming at the next election for you. We send you to truly represent us. And you got a man that telling you 20% is greater than 80%. We gotta be a clown. And I said to the people of St. Lucie, if according to him, 20% is greater than 80%, give me the 20, give me the 80. Because by his calculation, he would win. But by your calculation, I will trash him. And I shall. Imagine that. Imagine that. We've never seen so much worse going on in a country now. On the eve of an election. You think that the people of Barbados are stupid? You've caused people to suck soul if they could buy it. You've caused people over here, you say you didn't have any houses. You say you didn't have any jobs. You say you haven't this, you haven't that. You haven't bought buses, nothing. All our social services are going down the drain. And you come on the eve of an election and want to tell people you're delivering this and you're delivering that. And I agree with St. I haven't had my income tax now since I ain't getting the 2015 one, I ain't getting the 2016 one. Nothing, no returns at all. People wanting their cash to do their business. You've taxed them and you've withheld what is rightly theirs from them. And these are some of the things we got to share with the people of Barbados tonight. These are some of the things we got to share with them during the course of this campaign. And let me tell you something, you got to look them straight in the eye. Do not be afraid of them. Because I know some of us Labour Party people, we want to be decent and we want to be calm and so on. Let me tell you something, if you got to get rough with them. Because they're going to be rough in this election campaign. I am giving no quarter and I'm asking none. We got to let the Democratic Labour Party know where to get and where to go, because they have wrecked this country and they care nothing about all people. All they care about is themselves and their immediate friends. That's all they care about. And we have got to let them know tonight as we move forward in this campaign. I don't know when they're going to call an election. I ain't worried about it either, because the one thing I know, it got to be called. It got to be called. If they call it in March, April, May, or June, the Barbados Labour Party and the people of Barbados will give them what they do. We will send them out of office. That is what we will do. That is what we will do. And so you got to be resolute. You got to be strong. You got to be firm. Back your can. I told you at conference. the LECs. You remember that? You remember that? So I want you to operate with those LECs. Operate with them. Because we have a government to win. And it's not about being power hungry. It's about we want to work on the behalf of the people. The people of Barbados have suffered too long. We have suffered too long. We've been impoverished by this administration. The DLP does not deserve to be in government. And you've got to tell your friends and your family and people that you meet every day, this, show them why. They cannot be trusted. If they tell you walk, pick up your foot and run hard in the next direction too. They cannot be trusted. But let me tell you something. I got an acronym for you. I want you to listen to me carefully. We got to big up this party. This party of Grantley Adams. This party of Tom Adams. This party of Sir Harold St. John. People who have served this party well. We are not going to sit down and sit back and let people believe or let people put in the minds of Barbadians that this Labour Party have not done well for them. I know my leader. And I thank her for the confidence she has reposed in me. I thank her thus far for all the help she has given me in St. Lucie, coming to St. Lucie even when I don't know. She's been there working on my behalf. She's been there supporting. She's been there nurturing. She's been there and she gives us opportunity. That is the kind of leader we have. So let me tell you something. BLP, the best led party. You hear me? BLP, best led party. BLP, brilliant, loving politicians. BLP, best laid out plan. And the last BLP for Barbados is lovely people. God bless you tonight.
Place getting hotter. Well done, Peter. I am with you on that part with the St. Lucie. And I want for justice to prevail in this country. That despite whoever you are, or where you come from, or what position you are holding, you conform with the law. And I'm going to give away something, not tonight, because we have some people that are supposed to be governing who seem not to quite understand their roles. I'm not going to give away that tonight because tonight is not my night. When you come to St. Thomas, you will hear me and I'll be able to share things with you, because at the end of the day, we're not here about maligning people's names. We are here to give you the inspiration and the encouragement that you can understand there is a better life for those of you who are poor and downtrodden and have been pressed further in the ground because your parents and grandparents have lost some pension, some have lost their employment, their quality of life is gone. But again, I say it's not my night to speak. All I want to say is that in the last election for that glossy manifesto that the Democratic Labour Party had, they had a few statements that they called the 4 pillars of our future success. And you, the public of Barbados, and our friends here from the Labour Party will tell me if you have seen any success yet, or if you have seen anything that is unsuccessful coming out. Socially balanced policies. Tell me one. What socially balanced policies have you seen this Democratic Labour Party come with that you can say you have benefited? You may be sent home unceremoniously on the eve of a Christmas 2013 where 3,500 odd people got home. Is that a socially balanced policy? Economically viable development. Be Jinx, and I ain't got no money in my pocket tonight. I hope when me come here get $10 because I am broke like you. Environmentally sound practices. And I saw garbage yesterday in Bucks and Hyman's Hills and other sections of St. Thomas. The garbage is enough to fill about 10 truckloads in less than 2 weeks. Environmentally sound. And the final one, good, honest governance. And you can tell me if you think this country is being governed well. You draw the answers to those questions. I want to introduce you to a lady, the first of her mother and father's children. The first Attorney General of this country as a female. The first female leader of the opposition. And there are many other firsts. And I will say it because I've said it before. In the same way that we have seen our female leaders in the rest of the world, dynamic, powerful, doing things to turn people's lives around. We had some in the Caribbean and they did the best. I want Mia Amar Motley, our member of parliament for St. Michael East, and our leader of the opposition here in Barbados, to be the next woman to become the Prime Minister of Barbados because she has the capacity to do it. And so tonight, ladies and gentlemen, let us rally behind our leader. They are going to be pillorying her. They are going to be saying all kinds of awful things. She has a track record from in education, a track record from being the Attorney General, a track record from being in the economic affairs, a track record as one of the best leaders of the opposition Barbados has ever had. I want you to welcome Mia Amar Motley to be the next Prime Minister of Barbados, relying on you, the public of Barbados, to usher her in. And so, let us please welcome our leader, Mia Amar Motley, and after her, the Honorable Dale Marshall, the Member of Parliament for St. Joseph, will conclude our meeting. Please welcome Mia Amar Motley, leader of the Barbados Labour Party.
This is the part
God is good. God is good. It's good to be home. It's good to be home. This is the ancestral home of our great party. And Dale Marshall, I thank you. I almost thought that we were in the month of October when I got here this evening. It feels like an annual conference. It doesn't feel like the eve of an election. And when I walked through the crowd, and when I felt the buzz in the room, this party is ready for something. But you know, I watched, and this is the beauty of the technology that we have. I was able to watch from Colin to Charles in particular. And where's Charles Griffith? Because I want to salute this young man. Marsha spoke about courage. Charles is the exemplar of courage. Because he will not be daunted. He will not be daunted. Glenn Clark, an old Trojan, with a pep in his step this evening. Dwight Sutherland, the new warrior. Marsha Cattle, to tell you that St. Michael, we fighting all the way. And this evening, Dale, I thank you for closing this meeting. And I speak before you only because I want you to bring it all home in St. Joseph. Hold on, St. Joseph, we are coming. But this has been an interesting week in Barbadian politics. In this week, for the first time perhaps since independence, 5 days of debate in a parliament was not even making the charts on the pens of the journalists. It was as if nothing was happening. Because what took place in Parliament this week is so irrelevant and in another stratosphere from what is going on in this country in reality. And I speak not just of the economy, because Sinclair and Frondell Stewart brought a plan that bears no relationship to the vital statistics of the patient. But separately as well, it bears no relationship to what you, the people, are feeling and what you, the people, want to see in your country. It bore no relationship to the fact that in the bus stand from Cheapside to Fairchild Street, there were still no buses. And there was nothing in that plan to tell you that there would be buses next week, next month, or the month after. It bore no relationship to what was happening on the South Coast with the sewage system. And indeed, on Thursday night, William Dugan and Ralph Thorne hosted a town hall meeting that allowed us to be able to meet with the people of the South Coast. And regrettably, the Barbados Water Authority failed to turn up and to listen to the concerns of the people who are suffering from their mismanagement and their incompetence. But that is where we have come to in this country. What we discussed in Parliament this week, and you would have seen that I made myself very clear that I felt that the patient was bleeding, that the country's reserves were dropping, and after 5 days, there was no answer to the questions that I laid before Chris Sinclair. Not because the questions could be and would be difficult to answer, but because the answers would be difficult to hear. So we understand it. But I've come home this evening to talk to you, to talk to the family of the Labour Party. And I want you to gird your loins and to get yourself ready. Because all that you start to see happening in this country, and these monitors are a little too high, please. All that you see start to happen in this country is all that we expected. Don't mind the cursing. Somebody called me Thursday afternoon to tell me that Sinclair spent an hour and a half on the opposition. Well, he couldn't spend an hour and a half on the economy, so he had to spend it on the opposition. Somebody called to tell me that he was talking about who could make verbs, subject and verb agree. Well, he couldn't tell you how to count 2 plus 2, so he would have to talk about subject and verb. This is what Barbados' leadership and management has descended into at the very time when the country faces its most difficult time since independence. So I want you to know that I've come here tonight to share with you a little bit. Tonight, you need to know that everything that is happening, we have anticipated and expected. Last night, someone sent me an email of a little cartoon with our former leader speaking about me. We expect that. I expect, and that was all 2 years ago. But once these things exist in the stratosphere, expect that they will talk about everything now, Dale. Everything. But the one thing that they cannot talk about is what recommends them to you for a third term. Nobody can come to you and ask you to vote for them a third time unless they can show you a record, unless they can show you that they have earned it. And what we have is a government who cannot tell you in either 10 sentences, 10 words, or 10 minutes, or 10 hours what they have done to recommend themselves to you. I warned you at Queen's Park at the annual conference. And I said to you then that there were 2 other governments in the history of this country who know what it is to come to the people and say they want a third term and got it. And got it. Errol Barrow in 1971 and Owen Arthur in 2003. And in both instances, they didn't get it because people just liked the leader or liked the team. They got it because they earned it. Are you with me? And whenever they come to knock at your houses now, when the long talk done, when the cussing done, when all of the distractions done, you ask them a simple question. On what basis do you recommend yourself for a third term? If an incumbent government is not able to tell you of its record, not a plan. You don't come with a plan after 10 years. You come with a record. You don't come and tell me you have a driver's license, because if you have a driver's license and you can't drive, you could as well don't come. Because anybody can give you a license. And what has happened is that this government can no longer recommend itself on its record. They came with a fax campaign in May. That lasted for 2 sets of fax weekends. I told you then that fax stood for Frondell and Chris talking stupidness. They managed to get from Ronald Jones what he did in education, or what he said he wanted to do rather in education. It is ironic that only Ronald Jones will cooperate with George Pilgrim, but you might tell me why better. There were no more fax campaigns after that. And when they couldn't sustain the facts, the innuendo, the propaganda, and the cussing took front seat. And then the rest of the private sector and the unions were to be used as props with what they dubbed a plan, but what is really, as others have told you, a to-do, or rather even a wish list. It is significant that in the introduction of that plan, you hear the private sector say, we wait on the implementation plan. It is significant that in the introduction to that plan, you hear the General Secretary of the Barbados Workers Union tell you that they too are prepared to wait and meet to discuss anything. So that what follows in the 100 pages is not settled plans, but it is a wish list. So rather than come and tell you, as Glenn Clark told you on this platform tonight, that in 2006 the Barbados Labour Party bought X amount of buses for you, they come tonight not to be able to report progress, but to beg for you to approve a wish list. Now, if I have to endure some cussing, take the measurements. If Dale Marshall got to endure some cussing, take his measurements too. And Peter Phillips and Cynthia Ford. Because the one thing we told you 2 years ago at Queen's College was what? That we are ready and focused. And there is nothing that Frondell Stewart can say or do. There is nothing that Chris Sinclair can say or do. There is nothing that their nephew or their niece can say or do. And I mean solutions, and I mean UPP. There is nothing that any of them can say or do that will take the Barbados Labour Party's eyes off of the mission to rescue this country. We understand that it is incumbent upon the incumbent to lead. And for those who ask for our plans, rest assured they are coming. But we also recognize that you don't spend a week in Parliament with estimates to get the plans of the opposition. You spend a week in Parliament with estimates to ask the people to approve your plans, your programs, your policies. And rather than ask the people to do that, and rather than give the country the vital statistics, they spent the week cussing the Barbados Labour Party. So, I have come tonight to tell this family, don't get tired. Don't get tired. We are on target. And we expect everything that we see. We read how the pitch playing. We know where the ball can drop. We are not coming out of the wicket all the way down to get stamped. We are not edging outside the off stump to get catch in first slip or second slip. And we are waiting. I am not telling you that you will get a late cut like Lawrence Rowe, but you're going to get some shots. And you're going to get some shots because the ball look like a breadfruit now. This notion that everybody is lining up to come against the Barbados Labour Party, bring them on. Bring them on. If it is 4 other parties, 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, 4 quarters to make a whole, bring them on. If they want to bring all of the candidates to come against us, bring them on. And I've come here, therefore, to tell you that this notion that you can fight and you must fight in opposition, if that's what titillates UPP and solutions, then so be it. But it is the strangest political plan that any of us have ever seen, because we are not the government of this country. But if people are motivated by a vendetta, bring them on. And there is no place like home to speak a few home truths. No place like home. Because what is it that we are really facing? Hudson Griffith wanted to run and did not get to run. He ran. David Gill wanted to run and did not get to run. He ran. Lynette Eastman wanted to run and did not get to run. She ran. Wendell Callender, he run there, he run here, he run there, he even run through a proxy, and he ran. And Maria Agard, well. Crazy, enough said, enough said. Look, I don't dislike these people because I worked with these people. But what has to happen is fair. Barbados only has 30 constituencies. The people of St. Joseph Dale have chosen you to represent the Barbados Labour Party in this constituency because they believe that you best represent for them their chances to represent them and the people of this country. David Gill needs to know that if he feels he was the best, the people of St. Michael South Central thought Marsha Cattle was better than him. Lynette did not get to run in Christchurch East Central or St. Philip West, but that is because the people of those constituencies thought that John King and Ryan Strawn are better to run for them. Wendell Callender, well, Christchurch had its team. From Adrian Ford, happy birthday, Adrian Starboy. And in St. John, the people of St. John thought Team Charles was who they wanted. That hometown boy called Charles Griffith. And Crazy, you told me, do good and good shall attend you. So that, let us get real and put things in context now. I have no difficulty, but do not pretend that you are doing something to ease the pressure off the people of this country, when in truth and in fact, you started first because all of you did not get the chance to do that which you wanted to do. And I have kept quiet. You have not heard me say a word until this evening. But I have come home to the family of the Labour Party because you need to know now that we are going into the final part of the innings. And I need you to understand that whoever and whatsoever is said, nothing shall deter us from keeping focus on the rescue mission for this country. Who is on board with me? Who is on board to make sure that we tell Barbadians that we can carry them where they need to be carried? You know what struck me? We have a prime minister who has gone to New York to talk to Bajans. But you don't talk to Bajans in Barbados. How will you get up there talking to Bajans? Do you understand? And whenever you saw a problem, somebody got shot, Obama was right there up with them, next to them. Hurricanes, Obama on the front line. George Bush, well, he took a little time to come, but he learned his lesson after New Orleans. Even Trump, in a hospital on Friday, mixing and going to visit the families and the kids. How do you have people in St. Joseph not have water for months? How do the people of St. John, as Charles told you, not have water for months? St. John had 2 DLP prime ministers. Good Lord, even if Frandel didn't want to come in St. Joseph Merkin, you feel he could have gone in St. John, not true? And you begin to ask yourself, what is really going on? So I say to them tonight, listen, we have work to do. We have work to do. And we will continue to ready ourselves. I want to salute George Payne and to thank George Payne for his continued leadership in helping me to carry the weight of carrying the people for this campaign. The red light for you, Senjeka, it can't be for me. Cease and settle. I want to thank George Payne, and I'm not joking. George Payne has brought an energy to the chairmanship of this party. People see us coming up on this platform and feel it is easy to put all of these things together. It is not. But more importantly, there are 20 new candidates, and all of them require mentorship. All of them require support. And with the best will in the world, Dale will tell you that we were working from 10 o'clock yesterday morning till 11:30 last night. That is true. And the others would tell you, Kerry would tell you, we were there till 1:30 the night before in Parliament from 2 o'clock the afternoon. And if we don't have everybody walking hand in hand and lifting, if we don't have, Peter, many hands making light work, then what you see and our ability to stay on this mission will not be there. But I want to give you the assurance. It is clear to me that this Democratic Labour Party wants to carry us down into the depths of despair. Further, this country has a date with destiny in June with respect to debts that we have to pay. And if we spend all of our time politicking, then we put the country's future at risk. They say they want to hear from us. I say, bring it on. But I want them to know tonight from St. Joseph that we are ready to debate anybody, anywhere, anytime, anyhow. And I say so confident not only that I can take on all comers, but confident that every other one of my 29 members can take them on too. And not to give a historic dissertation alone, not to give a prosecution of the government's lack of record, which we can do and have been doing this week, and did wonderfully well in the members of parliament for the entire week in the second reading speeches, but also because we have been rubbing shoulders for 3 years now. And we understand what you have told us. And we have taken it. And we have developed and formulated policies and programs. And understand this, that every leader will have their own bent, their own particular interests. And my style will be different from others. But what you will be assured is that the programs and policies and the style of leadership will be one which the Barbados Labour Party is well familiar with, because it puts people first. It is about caring about people. It is also about setting high standards and lifting us all up to reach them. It is about staying focused. It is about not taking yourself too serious that you can't laugh. It is about finding time for the least among us to the highest among us. Because at the end of the day, this is who we are, and this is what we are about. So, I don't know when and what they intend to do, but I know that this party is ready for debates. This party is ready to engage. This party is ready. And we say simply tonight from St. Joseph Dale, as I wrap up, stay focused. Do not be distracted by the propaganda and the innuendo. Our backs are, expect that you're not going to get a blight. They're going to come after us. But when they come after us, you have seen me for the last decade. And every time I have been cursed, what have I done? Raise the bat outside. Let the ball pass outside the off stump. Because there is nothing that anybody can say that will cause me to stay on them rather than staying focused on you. There is nothing that anybody can do me that will cause me to go at them instead of staying focused on you. And the reason for it is that I have not come to public life to wrestle, but I have come to public life to help build a people and to help raise a people. Good night and God bless you.
Thank you. Don't move yet. We still have one more dynamic man who is responsible for the carrying out the affairs of this constituency. Dale Marshall, a former Attorney General, a man from the people, of the people, by the people of St. Joseph. He is going to speak with you now. Please welcome the Honorable Dale Marshall. Where you, Dale? Come, fella. All right.
Good night. Songman, we a little short on time now. Good night to everyone. Thank you so much for coming to St. Joseph. We are red and we are ready. You're going to say it with me. We are red and we are ready. We are red and we are ready. Now, that's not original because they use that in Trinidad, but I think it applies to us. We are red and we are ready. Now, I don't know if you could tell, but Mia is sick tonight. Mia is catching the flu. But there's something about the energy of that woman that drives her to come out and participate in these events, even though she's under the weather. So I want to thank Mia very much for still coming up. Now, they told me that I don't have a lot of time, but I am honored to speak after her. The tradition in the Labour Party family has always been that the leader speaks last. And Mia has very graciously offered to me the opportunity to speak after her in the ancestral home of the Barbados Labour Party. I don't think there are many people alive, or I don't think there are many people in this room who have probably ever met Grant Lee Adams. But you don't need to meet greatness in order for it to stay with you. I certainly have never met Jesus Christ. But the values that he instilled in us are still with us today. And the values that Grant Lee Adams set for this party when it was in its newborn days are still with us. And those are the very values that we as a political organization intend to take into governance. When I tell you that we are ready, I don't just mean that we are ready for an election. We are ready for the election. In fact, this is my 4th election, and I don't ever remember being as ready before as we are now. I think we stunned the Dems on the 1st of January when we put up posters. The Dems are shaking in their boots because we have things to say and people to talk to. If you've looked at any of the videos of their meetings, they can barely scrape 25 or 30 people. And we put 500 chairs in this room today. 500 chairs are in this room and there's still another 200 people outside. We are red and we are ready. Now I have a very short message. Short only because Peter Phillips took up my speaking time, but that's all right, he's my friend. I had wanted to talk to you about the issues that are affecting us, not just in St. Joseph, but in the entire of the Scotland district. This has been labeled as a community meeting. And there's one community called Barbados, and I know that when I have constituents with problems in Darthole, the people in Deacons Road will feel it. And when I have constituents with problems in Bathsheba, the people in Bank Hall will feel it. And so I had a very long speech to talk about Darthole and the slippage, to talk about the fact that the road infrastructure in St. Joseph and in St. Andrew and St. E.S. in St. Thomas and even Mara Thompson in St. John is crumbling. I have a long speech to talk about all those things. But I want to tell you that we are meeting tonight, not just in the ancestral home of the Barbados Labour Party, but we're meeting in a place that carries our distinguished founder's name, the Grant Lee Adams School. And this place, for better or for worse, is a troubled place. I don't have to tell you about the stabbings. And Dwight has spoken to you about the chairman of the board of this school who happens to have a consultancy with the Ministry of Education dealing with deviance and at-risk youth. I don't need to talk about those things. But I will tell you that what is happening in this place, in this school, is but a reflection of what is happening in our wider society. You see, the stabbings in this school would not be happening if there was not a multiplied set of stabbings in our greater society. The indiscipline in this school would not be felt in the same way as it's being felt now if there was not indiscipline in a mounting way all across our country. And it suits the Democratic Labour Party to stand back and blame the Barbados Labour Party for a sewage treatment plant. They're blaming us for this and they're blaming us for that. But you know, we have come to understand, and Mia summed it up quite well, when they don't have anything to say about their own record, they spend their time cursing the bees. So having nothing to say about what they have done that is good for this country, they now are spending time cursing the Barbados Labour Party. I don't like horse racing. I've never been a horse racing fan. But if any of you are horse racing fans and you went to the Garrison this Saturday and you bet on a horse and it lost, and you go back next Saturday and bet on the same horse and it lost again, and you go back another Saturday, I mean, what you going to do with your $10 or $20? You got to change your horse, keep your money in your pocket, buy snow cones, do anything, but you cannot in all conscience go and vote on the same horse. The Democratic Labour Party reminds me of that horse, because they came to all of you and all of us 10 years ago. Now, 10 years doesn't seem like a long time, you know. Doesn't seem like a long time. And they came to us 10 years ago like that horse, promising to win. You know, it bothers me every time the Democratic Labour Party says that they're the party for the poor people. You've heard it. The Democratic Labour Party insists that they are the party for the poor people. It took me a long time to figure out, but I have now begun to realize what they mean. That is the party that does make people poor. That's it, you know. The Democratic Labour Party makes people poor, and it makes poor people poorer. Because, you know, that is like saying, I am a good doctor, but all my patients is dead. Or I am like Hal Gollop, I am a good lawyer, but I just lose every case. So, think about it. How can you claim to be the party of Arabara and the party of poor people when every time that you that you sit in the driver's seat of this country, poor people get poorer? So there's something wrong with that equation. Something is wrong with that equation. So the horse keeps losing every week at the Garrison. And good Lord, the time has come for Barbadians to say, we can't bet on this horse anymore. I want to spend a minute telling you about how people in rural Barbados live. Many of you have come to this constituency from St. Michael. I see Team Bostic and Team Holder, all my friends. I want to salute Team Charles and Team Kirk and Team Peter. I don't want to leave out anybody, but you know, I betting on a few horses myself. But you know, I want to tell you a little bit about how country people live, not just St. Joseph, but St. Andrew and St. Lucy Peter and St. John. There are people who go into the Fairchild Street bus stand or the bus stand, the Jubilee or wherever it is. They go into the bus stand at 4:30. And at 7 o'clock, they're still waiting for a bus. Now, when I was going to school, My mother used to work was a seamstress, and she used to work at Pink Pelican Laundry. I don't know how many of you remember Pink Pelican. A man named Tyrone Lovell does work there now. It used to be called Pink Pelican, right? And my mother used to work at Pink Pelican, and I would walk from Commonwealth School into the bus stand. I would catch the 5 o'clock bus, and with any luck, my mother would be in the 5 o'clock bus on Roebuck Street, and we'd come home together. I didn't like it because it meant I had to behave good in the bus. But with any luck. But there were days when she couldn't get that 5 o'clock bus, so she had to get the 6 or the 7. Now, my father wasn't a very good cook, God bless his soul. He's still living. And he's still not a very good cook. So, you know, our diet was not exactly as it should be unless mommy got home early. And you may think that I'm making light of a situation and cracking a joke, but you know what? I want you to think about a mother or father who gets up at 6 o'clock or perhaps 5, takes a 6 o'clock bus to work, if you're lucky. You work all day, you go to a bus stand, 7 o'clock you're hoping to get a bus maybe to Pie Corner or to Bathsheba, if you're lucky. Because by then 2,000 people waiting for that bus because they had the 5 to 6 down. And then somebody wants to tell you that you are a bad parent. You managed to get home at 7:38. The dust of the day is on your skin. Your children haven't eaten. You probably got a headache. Hope your husband leave you alone. And the next morning, you got to go again. And somebody will tell you that you are not a good parent. But somehow the government wants to blame all of those issues on the Barbados Labour Party. Well, let me tell you, and you know, we talk a lot about buses, but it is only because buses are a reflection of what's happening in our country. So let me share with you a few numbers, nothing complicated. We have 3 bus depots, Mangrove, Spikestone, and Weymouth. Now, there's supposed to be 56 buses allocated to Weymouth every day. But on the average day, they only have 20 buses. There's supposed to be 42 allocated to Spikestone, but on the average day, they only have 12, Peter. And Weymouth, that's the biggie, supposed to have 130, but on the average day, they only have 48. And somehow, the Democratic Labour Party wants to tell us that the Barbados Labour Party is at fault for all of the ills of this country. There are roads in Barbados, and roads specifically in my constituency, and yes, in St. Lucie, and St. Andrew, and St. John, and St. Thomas, that have not seen tar in 10 years until last week. Until last week. Have not seen tar in 10 years until last week. But somehow, they want to tell you to come and bet on that horse again. The problems that we face, and never mind Maria Agard, who finds it convenient to say to the country that Barbados Labour Party created the problems with the South Coast Sewage Treatment Plant. I don't know who wrote the speech, but it is public knowledge that that sewage treatment plant was designed under Branford Tate, now deceased, and that Branford Tate signed the contract for the funding, and that the Barbados Labour Party came to power and we built the plant that was designed and accepted by the Dems. We had a vote of no confidence in Parliament dealing with the same sewage treatment plant, and the same wonderful Maria Agard spent her entire speech castigating the government, not the bees, the government. But now it suits her because it is politically expedient to make it appear as though the Barbados Labour Party is at fault. And a man named Guy Samirs, who wanted to run in St. Joseph, wrote a story saying that people are sabotaging the Dems and sabotaging the plant and sabotaging public works and sabotaging the police and sabotaging the hospital. For everything that is going wrong in this country, they refuse to accept any blame and are saying instead that the bees are sabotaging things. I don't think I have any more time left on my clock. But I will say this to you. Barbados is without doubt at the crossroads. We can either go up or we can go down. I have forgotten what up used to be like. Because the last time we were going up was 2008. For the last 10 years, we have only been going down. So I know down only too well. And I want to tell you that I do not like down. I don't believe that you like down either. There's a decision that has to be made. I have about 500 new voters on my voters list. We track it every day. 500 new voters. And I know that these new voters do not remember what it was like to have a Barbados Labour Party in power. Anybody who turned 18 years old in January was 8 years old when we lost the election. It is pointless you and I telling them about what a wonderful job the Barbados Labour Party did then. Because it's like talking about the 8% cut. People do not remember it. But I want you to join with me in telling them, let us forget the past. Let us look ahead. Let us look ahead. Because Barbados has to have a brighter future in store for it than what is being presented by the Democratic Labour Party today. We've spent a week in Parliament. It is a week that half of it the Dems spent talking to themselves because we said to the country, this is a farcical exercise. There's no point doing this. Parliament has a few days left, and the Dems are doing nothing more than securing an opportunity to spend Barbados' taxpayers' dollars after the election is called. That is what we're faced with. A government that thinks only of itself, but thinks nothing of the people. Now, I believe that we are ready, and I am confident that we are going to secure a victory. But I want to caution you that the race has not really yet started. There are not a lot of things that the Prime Minister said I listened to, but I did remember him saying that when you're out there running by yourself, you just feel like you're real fast until the other people enter the race. And I have 3 other people entering my race in St. Joseph. Happily, Charles only got a fight against a lady named Mara Thompson. Raoul Topping has about 12 people running against him. George Payne only still has Irene. And the people in St. Lucie are so happy to see Peter that I don't think they can pay any attention to Kelman or any of the other 2. But while the election has started, the race itself has not started yet. We have called on the Prime Minister to call his election, to call our election, to call the election. And his days are numbered. There are now only about 17 or 18 days until the 5th or 6th of March. But we also know that he has another 90 days within which he can call the election. And all that this estimates exercise was about was making sure that they have the ability to sign government's checkbook during that period. Now, I want to tell you that at 11 o'clock last night, I was still in the precincts of Parliament, because we were working on the report of the Public Accounts Committee. And while I cannot disclose to you the things that are in that document, I want to say to the public servants of Barbados that they are taxpayers too, and that if they sit back idly and allow the Democratic Labour Party to lick out the taxpayers' money in order to win an election, then they are as culpable as every single Democratic Labour Party candidate. This is what is facing us. The Dems talk about the Barbados Labour Party buying votes. Ladies and gentlemen, last election, we ain't had no money to buy no votes. But they want to create in your mind the impression that the Barbados Labour Party does not play fair. They want to create in your mind that we are desperate. They want to create in your mind that we will do anything to win. When the truth of the matter is that it is the Democratic Labour Party that does not play fair. It is the Democratic Labour Party that is desperate, and it is the Democratic Labour Party that will do anything in their power to win. But our victory is not about ourselves. Our victory is a victory that we are hoping to secure for a generation of Barbadians who do not know what it is like to be successful. They do not know what it is like to have a government that cares. They do not know what it is like to have a government that takes responsibility for its actions. And that is what the team that I am a part of, the team that is led by wonderful Mia Amor-Motley, is offering to this country. We have not yet won the race because the race has not yet started. But if you, like we, keep our focus and keep our eye on not the prize, because the only prize is a successful country, but if you keep your eye on the mission, then we will succeed. And if we succeed, and when we succeed for all of Barbados. There was a time when our philosophy was, don't go for the bronze, don't go for the silver, go for the gold. You remember those glorious days when Barbados was a champion, when Barbados was focused on winning, when Barbados was focused on success and prosperity. And we have a government that is now saying, don't even bother to think about gold or silver or bronze. It's all right if you come last. In fact, don't even bother to show up for the race. Those days have to be consigned to history. Let us vote for a prosperous Barbados. Let us vote for a successful Barbados. Let us once more live a dream that we sometimes feel, it don't matter anymore. It don't matter anymore. But don't let's give in to those frustrations. Thank you very much. I want to single out a wonderful lady, Cindy Agandano. I want to single out a wonderful lady named Pat Paris. I don't need her to come to the platform. But in 2012, Pat and I were involved in a at times bitter race to see who would run for this seat. I won, Pat lost. But from day one, Pat threw her weight and her every energies into helping me to secure victory in St. Joseph. I am now Pat Paris's #1 fan. And even now that she has to